Welcome to Jets Rewind. This is Marty Shupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, and Ralph Schrager is off right now. He's on a little vacation. Ray, how you doing?
Doing good. Just ready for some college football today. Hopefully, some good games, and then on to the Jets.
Ray's getting ready for the Buckeyes. I think they have a breezy game today, right? They're playing who?
They're playing the Akron
Akron?
Zips.
Okay.
So
They
they're hoping to zip.
they just show up. Anyway, we're I don't know, about 35 hours away from the Jets Denver game tomorrow at Denver. The Jets are there now, and Jet fans probably are there now too that made the trip. A couple of house cleaning items I want to go over. Tevin Coleman has been ruled out of the game, the running back. I don't know if you had heard that, Ray.
I got your update report that he
Okay.
had. But it's an illness, right? It's not a
It's a non-COVID illness, so who
non-COVID.
knows what that is.
Actually, I did hear that yesterday on the NFL Network.
Right. Jamison Crowder is doubtful. I think he's not going to play again, which I don't know what's going on with that. And I'll tell you, that story is almost as interesting as the Denzel Mims story.
Well, they said that's a groin, which does linger. So that's it's possible that it's just he
Right.
hasn't really gotten.
Yeah. On the other side, just quickly, Graham Glasgow, who's the starting guard, he's questionable, which is interesting because I believe he's the gentleman that had the irregular heartbeat. He sat out the first game, or he played the first game, sat out the second game. I might have that reversed. And Mike Purcell, the defensive lineman, who's really good, he's questionable. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Glasgow had a full practice yesterday. Purcell was limited. Okay. Ray,
Yep.
even though Ralph's not here, I kind of researched a trivia question for you. And
All
after
right.
I did it, Ray, I said to myself, did Ralph ask this question? Is this a repeat? You could tell me. But in the history of the old AFL, there's been a lot of history with the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. There have been, I've counted 6 quarterbacks who have suited up for both teams. So I want you to think about that, and we'll come back to that if I remember to come back to that at the end of the show. I don't think I missed anyone, but I came up with 6.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go over our last thoughts on the Patriots game, and I'll tell you from my end. And I've read a lot. I've reviewed a lot more tape. Uh, Look, our quarterback, his first 2 passes were interceptions. Most of us feel that Bill Belichick really didn't get into his head. It was on his own. And I think it's basically just the old story of a player just trying to do too much at one time and trying to force the issue. We spoke about this on a few plays where he tried to force the play, especially one interception. Elijah Moore was open. And on another play, Ryan Griffin, if he had looked, he could have led him with another pass. But I just want to tell Jet fans, and this is coming a couple of days after Sam Darnold led the Carolina Panthers to the 3rd victory. I was so negative after the Jets loss to the Patriots because I take the Patriots losing personal, and it's one of the reasons why I'm wearing a Yankee shirt today, just because the Yankees beat the Red Sox last night. I couldn't be happier. But I really believe as an organization, and I want to tell all Jet fans, I think this time, I know you've heard this for the upteenth time, I believe they are on the right track. Despite Joe Douglas's 2020 draft, despite the interceptions by Zach Wilson, despite the play of Sam Darnold, I really believe with our coach, we are on the right track right now. We're on the right track with this quarterback. Even in such an awful game, he showed some things that we don't see or we haven't seen from other quarterbacks in decades. So my last thoughts on the Patriot game, it was a tough game to swallow. And really, the Jets beat them statistically, except for the 4 interceptions. But I just want to tell Jet fans, and I could be the most negative Jet fan out there. They are on the right track. And again, we have to preach patience. But I think you're going to see some surprises in this week's Denver game. So Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you about your last thoughts about the about losing to the Patriots the way they did.
Well, not that I don't think Bill had anything. I think Bill did mess with him a little. I heard a great breakdown on. Now, I don't know if you or any of the fans out there saw the viral TikTok video of I think it was a young girl. I'm not sure who broke down Zach's. I think it was his first interception when he didn't down the middle. But yesterday on the NFL Network radio station, Bart Scott was on there and he broke that play down and he said, no offense to that kid, but that was one of the toughest defenses to read that a rookie could ever have to face. And he broke that play down on how it played out and how it was actually set up and what it looked like pre-snap and all that. And he made it, he basically just said that wasn't some simple, he forced it in there, misread anything. What he saw at pre-snap and what he saw after the ball was snapped was totally different. And that made me feel a little bit better that maybe Bill did have something to do with it. But I think Bill gets too much credit. I think Bill's like, in a baseball analogy would be like the guy who wins the Gold Glove every year. And so then there's a guy who's statistically heads and shoulders above him, but the guy's won it 6 years straight. So they give it to the same guy. That's kind of what it is with Bill on his defense. If somebody like that has, especially against rookies, it was Bill and his defense. And it wasn't, I didn't get that impression. Even now, I don't have the impression that that's what it was. I think he tried doing too much. I think I think LaFleur and the Jets need to pull it back a little, go along with the Patriots do on offense with the little dink and dunk, and let them get some confidence. And taking a shot down the field is fine, but it seemed like we were, our average pass attempt seemed like it was about 15 yards compared to the Patriots, which was about 4. And I'd rather see us at about 4 to 8 than, 10 to 20. So all in all, it was a disappointing game, but our defense played well. Our offensive line played better. There were a lot of positives to take out of it. But this is going to be a tough matchup now because they're going up into Denver, mile high, that thin air. They're going to be tested. And this is a big game for Zach to see how he bounces back and for LaFleur to see how he handles it. I think this will show a lot. I agree. I think we're on the right track down for long term, but we got to see what happens. We got to see how they respond to this that last game.
Ray, watching the game, and you and Ralph are a little more adept than me. What 2 or 3 passes that Zach made against the Patriots really impressed you, or were there no passes that impressed you?
No, he made a few, really. I guess the one to Berrios on the sideline really impressed me. Not just Berrios's catch, but that Zach put it where he did under some pressure. I mean, I'm not worried about whether he made any throws that are jaw dropping. I just want to see him play smart. I just want to see him play smart, handle the game. If he needs to be a game manager, be a game manager. You don't have to win the games unless you're in the position where it's go time. You have to win the game. That's different. But in general, if he's a game manager and they're moving the chains and keeping our defense off the field, keeping their defense on the field and using up clock, and we end up with touchdown or a field goal, if he does that enough times, I'm happy, because our defense, I think if they're not worn out, can probably, most teams, they aren't going to be run off the field by the looks of them right now. I mean, if they can keep playing the way they have been, which has impressed me quite a bit so far.
Ray, so, when you say dial it back, I mean, I think in terms of the way Mac Jones played, dinking and dunking, throwing some short passes. For that to happen, you have to have pretty good running backs that catch the ball and tight ends. The fact that the Jets tight end is really a weak link of their offense. Do you think that is could stifle this nickel and dime sort of situation you want him to do?
A little bit. I don't think, like Griffin's not a great blocking tight end, but he's a decent receiving one. You know, Croft is good with the ball if he hangs on to it. So, I mean, I don't think we have horrid receiving tight ends. They aren't elite by any means. They aren't gonna be our Gronkowski or our Mark Bavaro or anybody like that, where they kind of are guys that we go to all the time. Running backs, it's nice to have a running back to check down to. So yeah, it's good to have somebody out of the back. I think we have that with the guys we have. I'm looking more at the Berrios, Crowder if he's healthy, and more guys for their quickness and their short patterns and get them. It doesn't have to be like I said Mac Jones. Mac Jones was averaging about 3.8, 4 yards a throw in the air. It doesn't have to be that short, but a 7-yarder to Berrios or more, or, and let them run with it, or, just shorter patterns, quicker patterns, 2-3 step drops, that kind of thing, not the drop back and, try and protect Zach while guys are, trying to get open. I just think we're putting them back there for too long, and the shorter plays will help.
Right. And Elijah Moore has been lining up on the outside, which is interesting. And it's Braxton Berrios, who's so far in 2 games, he's been playing very well. He's the leading receiver. And by the way, speaking about him, Braxton Berrios, a great article is written on a short article by Brian Costello about how well he's doing. And he's really becoming a leader on the team, helping out Zach Wilson and helping out the other receivers as far as where to line up. But Ray, I'm wondering though, with everything going on with the Denzel Mims, and I know Barrios is playing good, but would our offense be more effective if Elijah Moore was in the slot and Corey Davis and Denzel Mims were wide receivers? Do you think that would be more effective than having Elijah Moore line up on the outside?
Yeah, I didn't think Moore would be the outside guy. I thought that was going to be Keelan Cole, Mims, and Davis. But they have a problem with Mims. And so when you take him out of the mix, then if you want to get 4 guys on the field as receivers, it's going to be either Jeff Smith or Berrios and Moore. Those are the next 3, I believe. And so Moore is better suited. Well, Smith, I guess, would be on the outside if he was next man up, but it's going to be more than Berrios, and Moore is more suited the outside than Berrios, I think. And so I think that's a lot to do with it. But I like Moore on the inside too. I think he's somebody who's a good route runner. I think he's got good hands, and I think he can make bigger plays than Berrios once the ball's in his hands. But I like Berrios. I mean, I don't want him going anywhere. I like him for his kick returning, and I like, he's got good hands and he can make big plays and he gets open. He's quick. So that's why he was on the Patriots. He was, they were trying to see if they had their next Edelman or somebody like that. They always want to keep one there in case one of them gets injured. And that's what he was going to be for the Patriots too. So
yeah, he was like a Wes Welker clone.
Yep.
Who was like literally just given to the Patriots from Miami by his old friend Nick Saban, who said he's the best player on the team. I think they did get a 2nd-round pick for him, but just, and again, I don't want to turn this back into a Denzel Mims and just on wide receivers. I'm just trying to think of like the highest and best use as far as for the receivers they have. I happen to think that Elijah Moore is great inside and outside, but I happen to agree with you that I would prefer to see him in the slot. I
Right.
just want to get that guy the ball. I think that guy is a dynamo ready to break out. So, hey, Ray, I wanted to mention the right guard on the Jets. I had written it down, and I know before we were on the air, you said, "What do you want to talk about?" I said, "Look, I'll talk for a few seconds. You just react." I've been watching film of this Alex Van Routen, the right guard who happens to be
Greg Van Routen.
Greg Van Routen. I'm sorry, Greg Van Routen, who's the right guard, a Long Island native. And not only does he get beat at times at the worst possible times, like when it's third or fourth or one, but Ray, when he gets beat, I don't know what it is. He gets bull rushed, pushed back like I never saw before. And this is something like when like Pro Football Focus, they do their grades, they have to do something, not just on offensive linemen getting beat, but offensive linemen getting pushed back. I don't know if that's taken into the consideration. Ray, you just grew another mustache. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that this guy Van Routen, he's got to go. But the unfortunate part is uh, on the depth chart, you're talking about. I just see like Dan Feeney and no one else at guard. So he gets the position by the lesser of two evils. But Ray, one of our first two draft picks, it's got to be guard, a right guard. I don't know if you've noticed how much this guy gets pushed back. I just want your reaction on Greg Van Routen.
Um, well, yeah, that's why I was asking what you were wanting to talk about. I didn't know if something had happened to him. That's why I thought you brought up. But yeah, I mean, in general, I felt that was a spot that needed upgraded before. And I hate to keep harping on it, but you know who'd be there right now, don't you? Trey Smith. That would
Right.
be who'd be in that spot right now. And I mean, I haven't watched, I didn't look at last week, so I don't know if, he did well again or not, but I just felt like we needed to upgrade that position. And that's somebody I had focused on. And I felt like we just blew an opportunity to have a guy who could be actually an upgrade and playing right now. But that to me, what I put, he won't be back next year, and we should have replaced him this year. And I still believe that. I don't think he'll be our guard unless they keep him around as depth and get rid of Feeney, which would be fine with me too. But other than that, I don't. If he's wanting to start, I would say he'll be starting somewhere else. Because I can't see us
Right.
continuing down this path.
And Ray, like I said to you, I looked ahead at the NFL prospects in 2022, which I swore I wouldn't do till like sometime in October, November. I don't want to jinx my Jets, but on the good news is the top 50, 100 prospects, the strength of the draft is in three positions: defensive backs, uh, wide receivers, which seems like every year wide receivers is a strength, and offensive linemen. I got my eye on this guy, Lindenbaum, I think his name is, from Iowa. So, and we spoke about this. I don't want to keep repeating it, but 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. I'd like 2 of those picks to be offensive linemen, and hopefully Joe Douglas will come through with that. I just want to talk about basically Robert Saleh, and it was such a breath of fresh air when the Jets got screwed out of that lousy fumble call, watching his emotions. And I'll be honest with you, Ray, I want your opinion because in my mind, the first thing that went through, guess what I thought of after that whole episode? I thought of Saleh, what I was watching, how he was going all out, not taking any crap from the officials. And then I'm thinking about within the last 2 years, watching Adam Gase sitting on the bench alone while his team is getting swamped with his head in a pad with a paper or a Sharpie. So what's your take on what you saw from Robert Saleh with his emotions? We saw it for the first time this year.
Yeah. And they didn't cut to him right away when it was going on. They cut to him and he was in the middle of just laying into the refs. And I think he wanted to challenge the play, but on that play, the call was the whistle had blown. His
You can't
forward
challenge
prerogative,
that. Yeah.
so you can't challenge it. So, but I think even though they told him that, and I think he knew they were right, I think he just let him have it, saying that was a quick whistle. And it was. I mean, if you watch any game, they'll let those guys wrestle for a bit almost till the guy's down, unless he's not literally not moving for a couple seconds. That whistle, I didn't even realize the whistle was blown. I didn't hear it on the TV myself. So I thought that they were just trying to say he was down or something. So the first look, I'm like, oh, that was easily a fumble. That was out. Then the announcer said, whoever was calling the game said, I think they're saying they blew the whistle. And I was like, well, no, we can't do anything about that one. And I was just like Saleh. I was screaming at the TV.
Right.
I was calling it a hometown call for the away team.
Yeah. And there was a Belichick call, always gets, like one of those calls. And it really changed. The momentum could have changed right at that point. Which was unbelievable. Ray, let's get into the Denver game. But before we do, I just want to mention this reporter for the Boston Globe, Ben Volin, who I thought did one of the unclassiest things I've ever saw in my life. At the press conference, to put salt in the wound, he's got to get up and ask our quarterback if he saw Ghost. And we all know that what that is in reference to Sam Darnold, whatever, and he wanted to make him look bad and put him on the spot. So I just want to mention, I got this guy's name, Ben Volin, Volin for the Boston Globe, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on this guy. And I can't wait for the day when we turn things around. And I want one game where Saleh will rub their nose into the ground and bring back keep the Boston-New York rivalry going. So I don't know. Did you see that, Ray?
Yeah, and I also liked the way Zach handled it. He just kind of gave it a quick chuckle and said, no, not at all, and just moved on. And that guy he should be working for CNN with his kamikaze questions. That kind of crap is just, that was typical. He wouldn't have asked that if it wasn't the Jets. That never would have come up. But he had to throw that in there, and that's fine. Whatever. I think Zach handled it right. I think he just said nope and moved on, and didn't give it any traction. He didn't get all upset at the guy and yell at him, which is what I'm glad he did. I think that's really what the guy wanted. I think he wanted a bigger reaction out of him, and he didn't get it. So he just sounded like a jerk to a lot of. I was watching when I first saw it was on, I think the NFL Network or one of them, and they were kind of the same way. It was like, you didn't need to go there, and I agreed. I was like, good. You didn't get the kind of notoriety you wanted out of it. Just,
right.
Lame.
So I thought that was very impressive. Anyway, it's the Denver Broncos. We're going into Denver. I guess it's Mile High Stadium. I don't know if they still have that name or it's another stadium. You would know better than me. It's probably
with the naming rights. I know it's something
like Coors Beer or something like that.
Oh no, that's the baseball. It's Coors Field.
But, I know.
It's something at Mile High Stadium, I think. But
right. And meanwhile, Teddy Bridgewater, who actually was on the Jets for a very short period of time, is the quarterback. He's been doing pretty good. He had a good game against the Giants. For whatever reason, his drives seem to go on forever when he's in the game. And the good news for the Jets is that the weakness, from what I see and what I've heard, is the Denver Bronco interior line, like within the two guards in the center. And we have to see if this Graham Glasgow is going to play. And our interior defensive line is our strength, and they seem to be doing better and better. Also, our secondary has been the big surprise of the year. So I actually think, and I'm going to get your reaction, but I'm going to tell you, Ray, after I get your reaction, why there's almost a guarantee that the Jets will win on Sunday. So I actually think it's better, despite the high point spread, I actually think the Jets match up pretty good against this team. And if the offensive line could continue, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who has done great on his run blocking, not as well on his pass blocking, but if they can continue to improve, I really believe the Jets have a very good chance of winning. Ray, what's your take on the Denver game?
Well, I think this is a lot like the last game. Does Zach uh, take care of the ball? Does LaFleur call a more conservative game plan that lets us just try and uh, hold on to the ball? I say us, we. I'm a fan like anybody else, so it's our team. If the Jets just control the ball a little bit, score, and if our defense can just keep them in check, I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee any wins, but I think if just like last week, I think if we don't make 4 turnovers, I think that game's a nail biter, and I think this one has the same. I think we match up better than people are thinking we do. And if I am a betting man, but one of my rules is I never bet on my team because it's already enough stress watching them. I don't need the stress of hoping they cover a point spread or something. But that's a huge point spread. I think a lot of that's just a typical, the Jets are just as bad as last year. But if anybody watched the Jets, they aren't. They are, at least so far, they are far better defensively than anybody expected. And you take away, if Zach plays better, that game isn't looking like a blowout. It's a nail biter. So I think the possibility is there for an upset with this game.
The minor guarantee from Marty Shupak is that, and I don't really bet, but I have 3 spots I share with somebody in the suicide pool. 2 of those spots we took the Denver Broncos, but I told the person, look, you give the guy who running it the pick because I can't do it. I'm a huge Jet fan, so they did. So we'll see what happens there, Ray. Okay, let's do a few over-unders for this, and then we'll get back to our trivia question, close it out. By the way, we're recording this Saturday morning, a special time. We started at 9 a.m.
Hey, Marty,
Yeah.
Real quick before we get into over-under, just a comparison. I mean, I was looking because I wanted to see if Denver's D that they're talking about is all that good, which, by the way, Bradley Chubb is out. So that makes their D a little less powerful. We're ranked 13th, they're ranked 4th, but teams have only thrown on them, or excuse me, is it thrown? Teams have mostly thrown on them. They've but they aren't their rushing defense isn't that much better than ours. And honestly, their pass defense is similar too. Our defenses statistically line up very similarly. It's only 2 games, so it doesn't take much to separate us by a lot. We're ranked 13th, but if you look at our stats, there isn't a huge difference. And this early in the year, one big game out of either team could change things drastically. But their defense is stout, but it's not like you can't move the ball on them. I think it's something that we're going to have to take our shots. But I think if we play a conservative game plan, there are places on that defense that we can move the ball on them and get some traction on the offense and stay on the field a bit.
Right. And the number 1 pick, I guess, Pat Surtain.
The DB. Yeah,
the DB from Alabama, is it?
Yes.
Who's a really good defensive back. He'll be starting at one of the spots. I guess they had a guy, Darby, who was a starter, who's out. He went out like the 1st or 2nd week. So anyway, Ray, a couple of over-unders. We'll keep with this little tradition quickly. Yep. Zach Wilson, 2.5 interceptions, over or under?
I said under. I think they're going to have him calling more conservative plays, and I think he's going to really be focused on taking care of the ball and making better decisions.
Right. I'm going to say under 2, but Ray, with that said, I just got to tell you, I don't want them not to take shots once in a while either. I just want him to see the field and be selective. And if it's not there, throw it out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. No, I said that too. I mean, don't just because a conservative dink and dunk thing to stay on the field. But when you see a chance, I don't mind an occasional, deep throw or deep pattern. It seemed like we did way too many of them or they did way too many of them last week.
Right. Okay, Zach Wilson, touchdown passes, over under 1.5.
I'm going under. I think our running game, if we do anything in this game, I think our running game now, as the game progresses, I could see him maybe getting another one. But right now I'd be happy with one. And I think, I think they're going to try and run it more than pass it this time, a lot more.
I think that he's going to have 2 touchdown passes, and I don't think they're going to be passes that are going to be long in the air. I think Elijah Moore is going to break one, and I think another receiver is going to break another one. In other words, they're going to be thrown short to medium, and they're going to do the rest on their own. So I'm going to say over. Elijah Moore, 5.5 receptions, Ray, over under.
I'm very tentative on this one, but I went with over because the way Berrios is playing, I can't see him not going to him too. And with Moore on the outside, I think there's less he has less opportunities than if he's in the slot and those kind of plays. But I think Zach likes Moore, and I think he does look for him. So I just I'm not sure who he'll be lined up against, but if Surtain is their number 1 DB, he's going to be on Davis. So I think Moore can beat whoever is the number 2.
Okay. I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say he's gonna have 7 receptions. He is he's impressive to me, and even though he hasn't done really impressive things, I've sort of watched him the way he runs routes. This guy is a real gamer. He takes the game serious. I'm told he's in there early. He leaves late. I'm going to say he's going to get 7 receptions. Michael Carter rushing, 75 yards, over under, Ray.
I'm going with under. I think him and I like Carter. I think he's gonna get a lot of touches, but I think they're gonna do a little more passing to him than they did last week. I think he's going to be more of a check down guy. I'd be happy with 60 or so. Yeah. Cause I think Tyler Johnson's going to get a fair number of carries too, again, cause they both looked pretty good last week. So I think between the two of them,
Right.
I think that's why he won't get the 75.
I think it's Tyrone Johnson, but that's okay. They call him Ty. All right. The next one, by the way, I think Carter's going to have a good game. I'm going to say it's going to be over. I think he's going to break one. I really do, for 30 plus yards. Team sacks. I meant, how many times do you think the Jets as a team will sack the Denver quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater? I have over under 3.5, which is a high number. I'll start, Ray. I think they're going to get like 4 or 5 sacks. I think they're going to do a good job. I think Quinton Williams and Bryce Huff are going to come through. John Franklin Myers, and I have a little bit of information on him. I think he's doing really good for the Jets first 2 games. So I think they're going to have like 4 or 5 sacks. What's your thoughts, Ray?
I'm going to say under, and mainly because Bridgewater's mobile and he can move around. I think they'll get maybe 3, because I think you had mentioned that the interior line on Denver is offensive line is a little weak. So that helps us a lot, especially if he can flush Bridgewater over towards Lawson or Shaq Lawson.
Right.
And but whoever's over there, if they can get a good push up the middle, he might be able to get there. But Bridgewater is still pretty active and a pretty smart quarterback. I thought when he was with the Jets, I thought he showed really good game sense. So I'd love to see him get more, but I'd say if they get 3, that'd be about the limit I think they'll get to.
All right, that closes that out. I think we're going to go to the trivia question, close it out. I think we discussed the Joe Douglas 2020 draft and Denzel Mims. We beat those to a dead horse. I'm so tired.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of Denzel Mims, to be honest with you. I love the guy, but sometimes I say, trade him so we don't have to talk about him or something. But,
yeah, I hope they don't. But
no, I know. We'll see if he's active this week. They should have a line on that in Vegas. Is Denzel Mims active?
They probably do.
Yeah. All right, Ray. I had asked the initial trivia question. Before we get to that, I saw from a Samini article an interesting tidbit on John Franklin Myers that he became very good friends with. They hit it off. They have the same agent. This is interesting. Brian Cox.
Really?
So what are
One of
you?
my favorites.
You, me, and Ralph, our favorite all-time Jet for like 1 year. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I guess Cox is from Illinois and Myers is from a small town
Yeah.
in Texas.
And
And
Cox was from the Chicago area, wasn't he?
yeah, somewhere around there. John Franklin Myers, here's a guess for you, Ray. Guess how many games or what was his high school record in 3 years? There were 30 games. Take a guess.
30 games, 28-2.
0-30. So, and that's it. And it was a good article by Rich Samini because a lot of the games were in Texas, Friday Night Lights. They have it, so they were like anywhere from 15 to 30,000 fans there. I thought that was funny. Well, not funny to but
was he a defensive lineman then too, or was he a running back?
I think he was a defensive lineman then too. Yeah, and we all know about the story. He played for the Rams, was in the Super Bowl, strip sack Tom Brady. Then for some reason got put on waivers. He was in reserve. The Jets picked him up, and he's been good ever since. All right, Ray. Denver and the Jets have a lot of history going back to the AFL. Quarterbacks. Can you name the quarterbacks that played for both teams? I'll give you one hint. I came up with 6.
Yeah.
And I think we asked this question again sometime.
I don't think so. No? But I could only think of 4, and I'm not sure about one of them.
All right, go ahead.
And the other 3 are all recent, so they were the easy 3. Simeon, right. Tebow, Quinn. So that's 3.
Who's Quinn?
Wasn't Brady Quinn on the Jets briefly?
No.
Didn't we have him in? Oh, no. Okay, well, I guess I only have 2.
From what I know. So good. So who do you have? Let's go.
Oh, wait. Hang on.
Trevor Simeon.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow. You got to have one more. We've been talking about him the whole show.
Oh, yeah. Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater. So you have 3. I have 3 more. One you're going to shoot.
Well, there's one other, which, and this is something just is telling me he was. Was Matt Robinson one?
Yes. Very good.
That was the other one I could.
But there's 2 left. One you're going to shoot yourself.
Well, that might be the one I was thinking of instead of Quinn, and I'm trying to think of his name.
One is Bubby Brister.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And remember, Bubby's known for the famous shuffle pass.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Which to me is should get more publicity than the butt fumble. And there's one more. You ready?
Is it recent?
Fairly recent.
I know it's who I was saying. It was Quinn, but I was thinking of somebody else. Go ahead. Rick Meyer.
No, Joe Flacco.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. So there's 6 quarterbacks that played on both teams. Joe Flacco, Trevor Simeon, Matt Robinson, going back to the Richard Todd days, Teddy Bridgewater, Tim Tebow, and Bubby Brister. So, Ray, listen, we're going to close this out. Enjoy your day. Enjoy all the college football. The Jets, I predict, will win. They're going to beat the Denver Broncos. It's the first.
You didn't just predict it. You guaranteed it.
Almost guaranteed it.
You backtracked a little bit.
They're gonna win, and it's because and I didn't predict that the first 2 games. I just have a funny feeling. So Ray, for Jets Rewind and Ray Clifford and Marty Shupak and Ralph Schraeg, who's not here. Until next time.